Hey, what's up, Kevin? This is a demo video for you for both of your Sabers, your Saberforge Count Dooku, and then I've got your YDD Ray here as well. So we're gonna go over the Count Dooku. I got this done first, but I wanted to wait until I had both your Sabers done and then just knock out this video. You do have a blade plug in here, so we're gonna take that out. This is the one that comes from Saberforge, so I'll make sure that it gets put back in there and in with your Saber. You've got your Shtok NPXLs in there. And then these are both installed with CZfX and NPXL. One button setup for this guy. So right here is your one button setup, and I'll go through the everything that you can do as far as your gestures and everything and your controls with one button. And then you've got your recharge port right here with your kill key, if you can see that right there. So we'll pull that out.
This is just the beginning.
Count Dooku activation. Shtok pixels are working well in there. Smooth swing. So this does take a 1-inch blade, so we're gonna put my test blade in it. And then your blade retention screw, it's not the first one, it's this guy right here. So we're gonna screw that down real quick. It's a little awkward to get a hold of this guy because it's curved on the bottom, but that's okay. All right, so that's done. Activation.
This is just the beginning.
Or wake the board up if it's been off too long. So you can see everything's working well there. Now you can tap the button for blaster deflex, or hold it, for blade lock up on a one button setup, what you want to do is hold down the button and hit the Saber at the same time. Just like that. Because if you hold down the button and don't hit the Saber, it's just going to turn it off. So remember, blade lock up, just like that. Color change is hold down the button and twist your wrist. And now you can twist the hilt. And cycle through all the colors. Say we wanted a green, just tap the button when you find something you like. And then when you turn it back on, it will be green. Now it will be green so long as you did not put the kill key back in the recharge port and reset the board. Changing blade colors and blade profiles on all the fonts, they'll remember all the effects and colors as long as you don't reset the board. Then it just reverts back to what it was programmed to be. So green.
This is just the beginning.
Blade effects is hold down the button and twist your wrist, but keep the button held down. Keep holding it. Blade profiles. And now again, we can twist the hilt. I don't know if that's picking up very well on camera, but you do have some that are more unstable than others. Some are a little bit of a fire blade. Some of them that are just solid, but they're cycling through and they still look solid. They all have different pre-on and pre-off effects. So you'll get some kind of effect when it's on, and then some kind of effect also when it's retracting. So that is your Dooku right here. We're gonna put the kill key back in, and I'm gonna take this blade out so we can go over your Ray. Let me explain one more thing on this guy before we put it up. Now put your blade plug back in too. Board access on this guy is very difficult. Everything is located right here in the handle. So your battery, your board's on top of it, everything, and then the wires are long enough that go down to your recharge port to where if you wanted to unscrew this, you can get to your board. But it is kind of a pain. So I just made sure that I got all the sound fonts on there that you wanted before I button this guy up. So that's all on this guy. Now we can go over the Ray. This was a very challenging build for me. I've done a lot of things here that I haven't done before. So I utilized the toggle switch that came with this kit so that you could have your cogwheel here be your activation button. And then you have a hidden auxiliary button here. So you can see underneath the leather, there's a box here that was cast into the pommel that doesn't come off. but it does help you orientate yourself and find your auxiliary. So when I wrapped this up for you, you wanted the gauze kind of sticking out on both sides like the movie, but I made sure the leather wasn't over the auxiliary. So you find that box, you go straight up into the gauze area, and you will feel your auxiliary switch. You can hear it right there. So I mean, it's literally like right in the middle of that gauze and lined up with that box. That's where that's at. So to get to everything, and you got your Shtok pixels in there too. So to get to everything, we want to unscrew this guy. And we'll take this right off. What you don't want to do is you don't want to unscrew the pommel from the top half because I had to line up this chassis piece that I've got in there with the plunger that sits inside the pommel, and it was very difficult because the you know, you can see your activation, you can almost see your activation switch right here. Let me look. Yeah. There's a certain spot where you can see where I'm talking about. Okay, right here. On the cog piece, right? You can see those two holes underneath this bump out. That's where your activation switch is at. But then when I have to turn it over, let's go this way, right here. Your activation's over here. So those, or your auxiliary rather, so those aren't lined up properly. I had to do a lot of math really to get that to line up. So everything's lined up perfectly now. It's hand tight, it's very tight, it's not going anywhere, but just don't unscrew the pommel piece. So you'll unscrew the pommel cap and you're gonna look at this. So we'll just take this and we'll pull it right out, just like that. This is a pretty cool system. It's a 14-pin PCB set by Smuggler's Outpost. Its purpose is to make chassis like this where you can take the lower half and completely remove it, change your battery out, then push it right back in, where you'll see the PCB in there. I have a little chassis piece up top here that holds your auxiliary button, it holds your activation button, and then also your wires for your NPXL here. They're all wired in to that PCB right there. So all that stays in place. And then this guy only has your board, your speaker, and your battery. So what we're gonna do is we'll take our battery, spring side is your negative. We'll put our battery in, just like that. And then we'll take this and we'll slide it right in. It's a little tight, but it's meant to be that way. So you'll slide it in, you'll feel it make contact. You can give it a little bit more push if you want. Those pins are on springs. And then we'll take our pommel. I modeled this chassis long enough to where when it hits the diameter change in there, this guy actually pushes this chassis forward to ensure that all of those pins are making contact with that PCB up top. You'll feel it tight, but that's okay. Just give it a couple turns and then you're right there, right? So that chassis is not moving on you. It's locked in place by this guy. All the pins are making contact so that when we turn it on, boom. I'll turn it off like this. So one thing about this toggle switch that came with your kit is it kind of resets itself when you turn it off. So if you turn it off and then you go to turn it back on, nothing happens. You gotta turn it off again and then turn it back on. So I'll show you what I do. When I have it on and I turn it off, I'll just flip it on real quick and then back off. So that way it's ready for the next time I go and turn this guy. Just like that. Now, one thing I will say is that that toggle switch that comes up, the arm of it, it's very small. Everything's in there very tightly. I went in, I had to Dremel out part of the emitter piece so that the toggle would fit in there properly, because how it was when it came is it wasn't sticking up for this cog to actually catch that arm. So I did a lot of Dremel work in here to bring that thing up. But it's not robust, right? So when you go to turn it, when you go to turn this cog, don't force it. I mean, you can feel it, right? So if I'm holding it with my right hand and I want to take my thumb and swap it over to the left, that's on, right? and you can feel it give. So then right is off, and then I'll just reset it real quick, just like that. So you can feel it give, but if you press too hard one way and it's all, like say you press too hard to the left, but it's already at the left, you will break it. There's a potential to break it. So we just want to be super careful with that. And then here is your blade, or my blade, but we're gonna test it. It does take a 1-inch diameter blade as well. Blade socket is pretty tight on this guy. So, you know, if my test blade is fitting in there tight, then you might have to do some sanding. And then we'll lock it in with your blade retention screw, which is right here, and then we'll turn it on. So my test blade's pretty cheap, right? I was pretty liberal on my wires at the very end to connect to my PCB because I just threw this guy together to give myself something to test Sabers. So the bottom of my blade doesn't light up very well, but the blades that you have gotten from me or anywhere else that you probably will get, the bottom will light up better, and then you'll have a nice shine through right there. But this guy is just 10-minute install job so that I could test Sabers, and it's been you know, this thing's been with me for a long time. But so we'll turn it off one time. We're not going to reset it this time, because if you reset it and then go back, you know, of course it's ready to be turned on again. Now when it's on and we want to get to our sound fonts, we're just going to turn it off one time, and we're going to leave it there. And then we're going to come over here to our auxiliary switch and hold our switch down. Let me make sure I got that right. I gotta find the auxiliary switch.
Sound bank selection.
Final steps. Count Dooku.
We're gonna stop on Count Dooku and just hold the button down.
I've been looking forward to this.
So I'm gonna walk you through that one time, or I'm gonna walk you through that one more time. We have it on, right? We go to turn it off. Now, if you want to switch to your sound fonts, you want to go back to the on position. Now you notice this is where your blade doesn't light up, but it does activate where you can get to your sound fonts. So leaving it in the on position, we're going to find our auxiliary switch and we're going to hold it down.
Sound bank selection.
And then we're going to cycle through with our auxiliary switch, not the activation. That's the Brittany font again. These are just the preloaded ones, but we'll get to the ones I loaded for you.
This is General Kenobi.
Menu.
Crystal focus. Audio player. SD card system menu.
Now we're to the ones that I loaded for you.
Exit menu.
Final steps.
Final steps. Let's stop at this one. When you find one that you like, take the auxiliary button and hold it down.
Nothing's impossible.
Now we're going to take your cog and turn it off. And then we'll turn it back on for the blade. And you want to change color with this guy. Hold down your aux and go like that. Same way as we did with the Dooku, right? And then we're going to twist the hilt. Find whatever color we want. Let's stop at a blue. Tap the auxiliary when you find one that you like. Turn it off. And then reset it. So I know there's a lot of stuff going on with this cog wheel here. It could be confusing. So to turn it off, you know, you got it on, and then to turn it off, you got to turn it back on and off to get it ready to turn on again. Or if you got it on and you turn it off, you want to get to your sound fonts, you just swap it back over to the left as if it were on. That gets you to your sound fonts. And then you could turn it off and then back on again. I think you'll get the hang of it when you play with it for a few. But that's the way that the toggle was that came with this guy. It just has a little bit different feel than most tactile switches, right? And then we'll turn it off. And then we'll just go in reverse to get everything out of here. So we're gonna want to unscrew this pommel cap. Now you can see the blade's not on because the pins aren't making contact. The pommel cap is what makes all of the pins engage. So we'll take this guy and we'll just take our battery out, just like that. And then I'll take this and put it right back in here just so nothing happens to it when you're not using it. And then when it stops on you, just stop pushing it, because this will do the rest of the work for you. So I did give this a wrap for you with the gauze that you gave me. I hope that that came out the way that you liked it. This was an interesting saber and it was very fun to build. So thank you for letting me do it. Thanks.